Lesson 13, Video 4, Using the e-learning locked browser. The students will need to install the e-learning locked browser, which is really the Respondus locked browser, before they will be able to take a test if the instructor requires that it be used for that particular test. The browser prevents students from printing, copying, navigating to another URL, or accessing other applications during a test. This video will cover how the instructor initiates the use of the locked browser in setting up a test and what the test preparations require the students to do when prompted. I cannot show you the actual browser in progress making the video because when it is in operation it locks all the other programs down, so I can't video it as it plays. But the first thing you need to do is, if you want to use the locked browser for a test, you need to go to your course and go over to the coursework. And then I have one test in here called a midterm exam. And when you set that test up, or if you want to go back and require that the locked browser be used after you've already set the test up, just go over to the edit pencil. And you see this is the setup screen for setting up your test. What I want to do is actually down under step 2 on the assignment options. Again, you can lock the students out if they leave the test screen. That has nothing to do with the locked browser. The security has nothing to do with the locked browser. But when it initially comes up, these little boxes on requiring the students use the Genzabar locked browser for the test, or requiring that the locked browser or lockdown browser be used for reviewing a completing test, are not checked. What the instructor would do is that they would put a check mark if they want the students to use the lockdown browser when they take the test, and then if they also want them to use it when they review the completed test, they would check that box. And then they would go ahead and finish out everything, the way you normally would for a test. And then all you have to do is click Save Your Assignment. Now, when a student gets into the test, let's see what that looks like. We can go up here and click Current View Faculty and go to View as Student, change view, and now we're in the student view, and there's my midterm exam. So if I'm the student and I'm going to take the midterm exam, this page comes up and it tells me that the midterm exam can only be taken using a special locked browser. And then it asks about open the locked browser confirmation page, and of course they don't have one. It would tell them that. And then it would tell them that they either need to download the Mac version of the browser or the PC version of the browser. There is also the locked browser user guide, which I've included in lesson 13 of the faculty training course. You could send it to the students separately if you wanted to, but it's always here. And if you clicked on the locked browser user guide, you will see exactly what that looks like. And it's called the e-learning locked browser, even though it's really the Respondus locked browser. Genzabar has made a deal with Respondus to be able to use their browser. So that is actually what you get as far as the instructions, and it tells the students how to set it up and do everything. And that's just by clicking on the locked browser user guide. But I'm going to play like I'm a student here and I'm on a PC, so I'm going to download the browser for a PC, and then I can open it or save as. I'm just going to save, and then it shows that it's downloading here. I'm in Internet Explorer, and then I can open it if I wish, and it pops up in another screen for me with a Genzabar setup, and I will just double click the Genzabar setup, and it's going to ask me if I want to allow the app to make changes to my PC, and I'll say yes. And then here it's loading the locked browser or installing it. Okay, I click next, and it tells me where it's loading it to, and that's where I want it to be. I click next, and then I click install to begin the installation. And it doesn't take long. And click finish to exit the wizard. I click finish. So I can get rid of that page now. And I have loaded the locked browser to my computer. So let's see, if I start the midterm exam, I've got a feeling everything's going to crank out on me here. So if I do that, it's not going to let me do any more videoing. But that's all there is to, the student actually downloading the locked browser. And if you just did this, logged in as you, the instructor, it loaded it to your personal computer. It's my understanding that the locked browser is already pushed out to all the faculty office computers at this time. If not, when you downloaded it, you would have to get IT to be able to put in their password to where it would download. But I do believe that they've pushed out the locked browser, or at least I was told that. So that's all there is to the locked browser. Again, I've included this locked browser user guide in lesson 13, and you might want to explain it to the students that you are going to use the locked browser if you choose to, and for them to be sure and go in and read these instructions before they get ready to take a test, so it won't confuse them. Actually, it's fairly easy, and it will shut down every program that's open on their computer, even if they have multiple screens. And it will only let them take the test on one screen, which makes it pretty nice. It's fairly secure. Again, it still won't make them, where they can't take a picture of it with their iPhone or something while it's on the screen. But at least it keeps them from getting back and looking at the course materials and things while they're working on the test. And that's all there is to the locked browser.